Okay, Silas, we're at the top of round 2. I need you to give me a death saving throw now for your turn.
Hello, Michael St. Gregory. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good evening. Hi.
That's the 19 on the die.
And Ivara, as you look down at your spell book, now tattered and torn and obliterated with pages flying and fluttering in ash and dust around you, what do you feel in this moment as your life's work has essentially been obliterated by the touch of the last person you expected to see in front of you?
What?
Wait, are we here? Did we make it? Is it? I need a head count real quick before anything happens again. All right. Count off. Who's here?
1,
2,
3,
4.
And that will be the end of our episode tonight. Thank you for watching, everybody. We hope that you catch us next time on the next episode as we figure out exactly what's been going on. So thank you, and we will catch you next time on the next episode of Frontiers of Eberron. Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Frontiers of Eberron, Chapter 5, Knights Past, Present. I am your Dungeon Master, Michael San Gregorio. Alongside me are the Watchers of Worm Watch. Let's go around the table quickly and introduce ourselves, starting with Silas.
Hi. As Michael said, welcome to our episode of Knights Present, Future Past, somewhere in between alternate dimension AU universe, Frontiers of Eberron, and I am Matt.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Frontiers of Eberron, Chapter 5, Knights of Past Present. I am your Dungeon Master, Michael San Gregorio, and anyone get like a... Sorry, I just got like the weirdest deja vu.
All right.
I apologize. I'm more professional than this usually. Welcome to tonight's episode, Chapter 5, Nights of Past Present. When we last left off, what was before this? What was to come? Where is now? There is no understanding in this moment. There are four minds, conscious in what can only be described as a moment. And this is for real this time. I need all four of you to give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh my god, I'm gonna vomit. What's happening?
And this is where I die. In the chat, or would you like us to say them?
You say it out loud, and we'll start from left to right, top row to bottom.
It's a 2.
Hi, Matt, War Toward Night, playing Silas. That's an 8.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I play Ivara. That's a 2.
I'm Ren. I play Evan. That's a 21.
Yay!
Yay, Ren.
I'm Dia. I play Marishana, and with advantage on wisdom saves. That's a 12.
You, Evan, right now, are the only one who is aware that things have shifted, and you need to give me a perception check to understand where you are right now.
Why does it come down to me? I'm the most know-nothing of the knowing.
And with that, you
That's
know
the
all
key.
of the things.
That's the key, Evan.
15.
You let the light of this bright area around you settle down and let your irises adjust. And you notice now that you are amongst your party, your fellow watchers, as you have now become one of them, in the midst of a desert. But not a familiar desert. This isn't the Talenta Plains like you had been stranded on again. No, this is almost like what it feels like what your town was in the moments that time had been frozen around it. But this land looks as though it had been the site of even more terrible tragedy and battle and attempts at surviving. And you finally look around and you can see Silas, and you can see Ivara, and you can see Marishana, and you can see the dragon form of the elder dragon that has been accompanying you this whole time in your training, but only revealing themselves recently? It's hard to say. But you're the only one who can kind of adjust yourself in this present moment, whereas the rest are kind of shooken, but are statically still, not quite sure what to make of this moment.
Evan. What the fuck is happening? Oh, okay. Evan, I think, is going to, I don't know, try to, I think the person that she would go to first would possibly be Sister Mira. So, because if this is something that people need healing from, she needs help. So she'll go to Sister Mira and try to rouse her, bring her to some kind of sense.
Okay. Give me a medicine check.
17.
Okay. That's going to be enough to kind of wake you, Mirashana, out of this kind of static feeling of pause that you were in.
Sister Mira. Mira?
You hear in your head more than feel in your ears. Mira's concern as she says, Evan, what's going on?
Oh, if I had half a mind to tell you what's going on, I would tell you, but like many things that have happened since I met y'all, I don't know. But everyone is, we're not where we was, and everyone's, I don't know what's wrong with them. Just help me. I was able to rouse you. Just shake him, slap him, do something.
I would like to cast Michael Detect Magic.
Casting Michael Detect Magic. Okay.
Yeah, it's not her casting it.
I
Michael
unfortunately
must
don't have
detect
that
it.
feat, but you can detect magic. Yes.
Yes.
And you are hit with a shock of just an unfamiliarity because it's not a school of magic you've ever faced. But if this is what you think it is, then this is... The theories were true about this kind of untapped and unrecognized and perhaps lost magic. You believe you are surrounded by chronomancy.
Oh. Evan hears Mira just go, oh. This is not a school in which I would call myself much learned or proficient in. I prefer not to dabble in the aspects of time when one wrong move could cause all to unravel.
In a passing glaze, you see that Ivara and Silas now come to out of this static moment, and you join Evan and Mirashana in the present, which is what all this can be described as.
Oh, okay. They're like, good. Great. Silas?
Uh-huh.
A man of your intelligence and capabilities in knowing of magic and things of this nature. What the fuck is happening? Please. Because this feels like what Wormwatch felt like, but bigger. Much of a muchness bigger.
Silas, give me a perception check.
You bet you're behind. Right. Let's see how this goes. Try again.
Your brain isn't wiring fast enough for you to understand what it is you're seeing. Ivara, you can give me a perception check as well as you come to.
All right. This is better than that fucking wisdom save. All right, straight 15.
15. You are watching as you see your friends around you now, kind of the only things moving linearly, meaning you can see them with every action that they're doing, just normal, like it's happening in real time for you. Your surroundings, you're watching, and you can't quite understand why all of a sudden you look in one direction and you can see your establishment, your home, your work, all built in its finest condition. You turn to your left and then you see the beginnings of the caravans bringing in the first tools to put the town together, you turn back and look at your place of work, and it's now halfway done from when it was before it was even something that you had even known that you could have taken care of. You turn around and you see behind you, and you look at the burnt ashes of the town as if it's being raided in the night of the blood raid, as it was called, when the House of Vol reemerged and the vampiric bandits ransacked Wormwatch. You turn around again, and you realize with every moment you are witnessing this town shift in and out of what was, what is, and what could be, right up until the moment where your powers surged and teleported all of you to the desert. And it's all happening at once. Silas, Evan, Mirashana, you see Ivara witnessing the scope of everything around her.
Do they see this happening? Because I would say in this moment, Ivara is consumed just by a rush of emotions to where you just kind of see her standing there. She is frantically looking back and forth. Her chest is heaving. She is almost there's these surges of magic coming from her as tears start welling up in her eyes as she sees things from the beginning as they flash to the end of rage and destruction and fire consuming everything that has been built. And you just almost see her kind of just start to erupt in this emotional rage of almost feeling like she has completely lost control. And this is for the first time in a very long time.
Miss Ivar. Miss Ivar, it's all right. Evan is going to
does anyone else see this happening? Or is Ivar the only one seeing these flashes of time?
You're right now the only one kind of seeing the time lapse of the town around you in all different directions, whereas the rest of you are just kind of seeing shadows and silhouettes of your town, but as if you were standing in the middle of a sandstorm, and yet no sand is affecting your vision or anything. You're just in it.
Does Evan trying to get Ivara's attention rouse her from this trance at all?
Yeah, you take a moment and you kind of are able to once you hear her voice communicating out to you and reaching out to you, that becomes like your tether for you to connect to the present moment that you're in, and you're able to just silence everything out for the most part.
Okay.
Your own chaos magic is certainly affecting what you're perceiving. I don't know why I'm fading in and out of existence, but that's just my camera.
Okay.
It adds to the story.
Ivara, as she is in this panic, it's like those moments in movies where it's just your mind, it's just hundreds of conversations going on at once. She is seeing all these elapses of time going on. And as soon as Evan calls out to her and she hears Evan say her name, it almost in a snap, everything just fluctuates and she suddenly kind of finds herself centered, and she sees Evan and she sees Silas and Mira, and she just kind of snaps back into reality. She kind of reaches up, seeing the emotional state that she's been in, kind of processing what all just happened. She goes, "Did y'all not see any of that? The town, I saw, I remember seeing how it being built, and then the fire, the destruction, that damn vampire bitch." And she again is just looking at Silas and Evan and Mira, and more Silas and Mira, considering they have been the ones who have seen most of this chaos. And she's like, I can't be the only one. I feel like I'm going fucking crazy right now.
With a nat 1, Silas is trying to get the sand that can't affect his eyes out of his eyes.
Was that a perception roll?
The one that he had me roll earlier when I said try again. Yeah, it was a natural 1 for a 2.
Mira is sensing the chronomancy around them and just attempts to console Elvira by placing a hand on your shoulder, which is, a physical touch that you can feel in that moment to try and ground you to where we are now. And just say, what you are seeing now is not what is happening in this moment. It is what might have been and what might come to pass. All right?
As far as I'm seeing right now, Mirshana, I am not liking what I am seeing. And if there's any way we can change this, we gotta fucking find a way.
Is Brass with us? Dragon or otherwise?
Right now, you are able to scope that he is also just in mid-roar, it feels like. And eventually the time catches up and he reverts back to Clinton Hiltwick. And the former dragon has now taken its humanoid form, but he is presenting himself as when you all first met him, in a pretty much prime of his life, and he is in his suit, and you can see he's in like a pose where he's reaching for something. And as he comes out of it, he just goes, well, no. Oh, no. It worked, but...
What worked?
It worked. I don't know how much longer this is going to last before the next effect happens, but you have to listen to me. We have to stay tethered together, or else something is going... Clinton Heltwick hands you the disc with the plans on it, Silas. And then looks around. Oh, boy.
Any advice at all?
You realize you have a moment of deja vu. And you recognize this hesitation from when this moment first happened between the two of you. But now you have context. And so does Clinton. Okay. All right. And he starts looking around like your office for a calendar of some sort of date record of where it could be a timepiece at anything.
There absolutely would be one with all kinds of little like appointments and stuff on it, and Silas would go to it and check, is it actually that day?
From what you can see, and you're looking at it, you recognize this as 3 weeks prior to the date you most recently remember. And that is around the time just when you had finished being your first mission as a deputy under Copper.
Am I in the clothes that I was wearing at the time, or am I in? Okay.
You have no tattoo on your arm. Your wand is halfway done.
It wasn't functional yet, not completely. I could use it as
and there's just a moment of
nowhere near. Oh. I'm going to book it for Brass's office.
You book it for Brass's office. And Clinton, holding on to the disc with you, is trailing behind. And you storm in, and Brass is there. He immediately aims his wand because he has no idea what else to do. But he sees it's the two of you. What the hell is going on?
No time. And I go for his secret stash of arms.
And you know exactly where to go. And he goes, "The hell are you doing, Silas?"
I'm taking out one of those fucking rifles, and I'm just gonna look at him and just be like, wait here. And I am making my way towards the fucking mines.
You head towards the mine. Sister Mira, it is a beautiful Sunday morning. It's time to start preparations for church. No, it's not. Is it?
Is it? What Sunday
Give
is
me
it?
a perception check.
It's my spell list. It's a 22.
This isn't Wormwatch. This is smaller quarters. This is a busier sound outside your window right now.
Am I back and fallen?
You kind of try to get a sense of bearings. You look out the window and you can see immediately a sky skiff fly by as you are once again in Sharn.
Would I be able to, considering this, dash down towards to the Blackstone Church and see if Fela is around? Or see who's currently occupying the site?
Ivara, after all these years, finally have that book in your hands. You've heard about it. It was a family heirloom, it seems, but now you've got it. You've got it? Wait, why? You've always had it, right? You think about this and you look up in front of you in the mirror. Describe what Ivara looked like when she first found that book and at what age she was at.
Oh, when she first found it? Oh, man. I would say Ivara looks probably around, like, very late teens, early 20s. 19, 20 years old. Her red hair is probably, instead of like down her back almost to her waist, is only to her about just past her shoulders, tied up with some ribbon. And she is just at this point, does she even have any acknowledgement of the past right now, or would she just be like,
You know that you realize, like, something has changed and you are younger and you are reliving a moment. This isn't a dream. This isn't a memory. This is then, but now.
I would say as soon as she found this book, she would just be looking through it, drinking up any knowledge, as it just seems very familiar to her, almost like it's begging for her to read it, as she is, as like almost like the energy is calling out to her. So she would be immediately going.
Evan, you are running, but because you're hurting your sheep. And then you stop halfway because this you remember when this happened. This was maybe your week or two when you first finally got settled into your new land and your new homestead. Man, cattle was crazy. And all the livestock were running all over the place. It was unmanageable. But you've lived this already.
I think Evan is going to sit down and put her hands on the ground. Say, I hate this shit. What's happening? And then try to find her sheep.
There's no problem. What was your sheep's name again?
Tessa May?
You call for Tessa May. They run right up to you.
I'm so happy to see you. And she's gonna hug the.
You are back in the halls of the sub-basement of the institution, where you had been training and residing and trying to make sense of a great many things. And all of you are now in the middle of the open field area. 4 of you are, at least. And eventually coming through the door to the left there is the humanoid form of Clinton Heldwick, who steps out with his cane and he looks at all of you and he says, "That didn't work."
What didn't work?
Well, based on that reaction, that makes it even more interesting. We just... No. We will activate the device again to go into the moment where the town is being kept. But something happens. Or happened. It's very hard to understand. All I know is that nothing linear was set in motion. But things were affected because we will do something. I'm sorry, I need to sit down. And he takes a seat on the steps and just kind of, you can see that his brain is really trying to catch up with itself after what just happened to all of you.
Look, sir, my mama always said the town was a weird soup, but this is ridiculous.
Human colloquialisms will always get the best of me. Yes, I think we dove headfirst into that soup, it seems. But have come out, unscathed. Wait a minute, where's Holiday?
Oh, God damn it, where is
Has anyone
that?
seen him?
Ivara's gonna just start looking. Like, where the fuck is that damn rabbit? Did he lose himself in that damn cam soup? I swear.
If there was ever
Silas-
a time to be a lucky rabbit,
Maybe
Silas
his
will
luck
start
finally
checking
ran
his
out.
pockets.
What do you think was in there the last time?
My pockets?
Yeah.
Should just be his normal gear. I mean, if we're talking about, like, probably the first place would be right pants pocket. So honestly, probably an ink pen and something to write on.
It's there. And you see a note in your own handwriting.
Oh. Okay. And what does it say?
It says, "Don't turn back."
Oh, I've never been more tempted.
Getting biblical up in here.
So I was just gonna look forward to what I'm assuming is the doors to the Institute. And just don't look back. Can only go forward. Let's try again. And just walks forward like, okay, this is what we
Well-
gotta do, I guess. If
No, 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 no. No.
you're gonna have a conversation with me, you gotta be in front of me.
Sal. Evan is going to run out, run in between him and the door.
And she
Silas.
does.
Yes.
Again, I am not. I'm sure y'all went to school for these things and stuff. I didn't. So I'm coming to you from the barest parts of my heart. Whatever the fuck just happened is not happening again.
That's the idea. And he's gonna try to walk around you.
No, you're not listening to me. I don't know where you went after we had that little congregation there in the middle of nothing time, but I went back in time and I had my sheep and I had both arms. So it's hard enough. It's hard enough right now trying to reconcile that in my soul. So it's not happening again. It's
No.
not.
It's not. And we were already told that something is going to happen that's going to make things all fucky. So we, as a collective, are going to make sure that doesn't happen.
I'm gonna be
Well-
honest, everything's fucky at this point right now, Silas.
You got to come this way. Vara, everybody's got to be on this side.
is this the time to
give
take
me,
a gamble?
Give me just a straight intelligence check.
God.
Is this the time,
Yeah.
Silas, to take a
Is it-
gamble? Is it really?
Is it because I'm taking the note literally? Because I'm also taking it figuratively?
We'll see.
Okay, just straight intelligence. All right.
This makes me nervous.
It's an 18.
You know you don't speak in metaphors.
True. I don't speak in metaphors. So it wouldn't be a literal looking back. However, him thinking, don't look back.
Don't turn back.
Well,
As you double check your notes.
it says don't turn back.
Don't turn back, literally. Don't turn back time.
Am I able to assume that this has to do less with this exact moment and more so with what might happen when we try this again?
Yes. This is an assumption that is far too heavy for your instinctual mind to always find the answer, find it now, get the solution. Every possible answer can be the answer, but there's too much at risk at this moment for you to think, just go with your gut, of all things to consider.
But this was a message from the other smartest person in the room.
Well, they're not in the room.
Silas is going to sigh, turn around, and hand the note to Avara.
Ivara's just going to look at the note. She's going to read it over. And so what does it say? Do not look back or do not turn
Says,
back?
don't turn back. 3 words.
Turn back.
Don't
3
turn
simple words.
And probably you've seen Silas's handwriting at some point in time. You know that Silas wrote it.
Okay.
And emerging in that moment, just warping in like a bubble.
Smash.
Help! Help!
Ivara is going to look at Silas like for a second before Holiday comes in. She's like, where the fuck did you get this? And then Holiday pops and she just kind of shakes her head for a moment, looks at the rabbit. She goes, well, it seems your luck hasn't run out. Holiday.
Can you? Oh no, the wibbly wobbly timey wimey has stolen his voice.
Que paso, mi almost.
There he is.
There we go.
A Holiday, before you begin, as you get your wits about you,
Mhm.
would you mind please giving me a history check?
Let me find my magic dice real quick. Give me 1 second. Look at that. Early in holiday form. Yeah, that's not my magic dice. Where are you at? Oh, bitch. This is what happens when you have too much dice on deck.
You can never have too much dice on deck. What are you talking about?
Where are you? Fucking around with me. There you are. Found you. What am I rolling?
History.
History. All
You
right.
long-eared idiot.
Listen, it's been a long day. All right. Over
Or
here.
it's been the shortest day. I don't know. Time is weird.
Passing through portals and shit. You know, not. I mean, not something I'm not born to, but you know, time is a weird suit.
What did you roll on the history? What did you roll? Okay. Give me that damn roll already.
Hold on. I'm still
Step
pulling
your
up my
blabbering.
character sheet. Holiday, where you at, big guy? There you go. Yeah. Come on. It's not good. It's not great.
I feel like he rolled bad and he's just stalling.
Kind of, but you know, I'm also looking for other spells that might help supplement this.
Just give me the number. It'll make sense.
It's 15. It's 15.
Okay.
You roll better than all of us, so you're
Yeah.
fine. Except
Holiday.
for Evan.
I want to do
Yeah.
better. That's what.
You hear the name and you're like, Holiday. Yes, that's me. Holiday Lookfoot. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in that point in my life. As a creature of a Fey realm, there is no meaning to time
Right.
during that period of your life. So this jump that happened almost felt simultaneous. So in a weird way, you just had like a magical brain fart, essentially, where you forgot everything and then remembered it all at once in the span of a second, which to maybe mortals would be eons. You don't know.
Right.
But you're back, and you had a bit of a delay, but you're here. And you've warped in with the rest of everyone as they are just all outside of the machinery area that is on our map here.
All right.
But you're back in the headquarters that you remember the last place you had been, having discussed plans with the then dragon-formed version of Clinton, who is back in his humanoid form and looking actually quite healthy for the most part, still using a cane, but standing upright and looking okay. And Silas is kind of ready to storm in to the factory room saying, "We'll do it again." No context as to what that's about.
All right. Well, I don't think things went well. Did anybody learn anything that could help us?
What do you mean learn? We're being ripped around town like no one's business. I have no fucking clue what's going on. Silas is finding fucking notes he's written to himself in his damn pockets. Ivara, at this point, once she says that, she's gonna look through her own pockets.
Okay. Yeah, and you see you have all your stuff with you, and you see that you've got your spell book, and it's been dog-eared. Your spell book's been dog-eared.
Ivara does not fold her pages on her fucking spell book. What the fuck did she dog-ear?
You flip through, and you get to that page, and what you see is the time stop spell.
What?
You don't know how to do it. You just see that it's there. And you see that it was on a page that you felt like you didn't understand how to connect those dots yet. You weren't at a level of knowledge of how to put this coded language of spell work and symbols and runes and whatever it is that creates a witch's form of spellcasting unique to itself. You hadn't gotten to that point. But somehow this looks like it was, in your handwriting, kind of like a filtered out with your own scribblings on, this means this, and this means this component. This is actually like, this is the measure of hand gestures for the spell to create the glyph that would make this spell happen. And you see it's like probably the most difficult maneuver you would have to pull off. And you've never even fathomed, like you're used to just instinctively doing it and letting the power surge. This looks like it takes actual practice. But it's all spelled out for you there, but it's in your handwriting.
So as I'm reading these notes, it's actually making sense?
No.
No.
No, it's just that you know that you figured it out somewhere. Or eventually you will.
God damn it. Ivara is just, she's gonna look just again in shock as she kind of runs her fingers over the handwriting that she obviously has written. She goes, I don't remember writing any of these. I don't even, I haven't touched this page in years since. She kind of like pauses for a moment as she kind of like withholds what she was about to say. And she goes, I haven't touched this spell in a very long time. And I don't remember writing.
Or did you touch it at all? You start to like say these as if you think like you have a memory, and you stop yourself. And Evan and Mira, you can see a small like trickle of blood coming from Ivara's nose as she just tries to fathom what is going on right now.
Ivara, you're thinking too hard.
She just slowly like kind of reaches up and like touches the blood coming out of her nose. She looks at it. She goes, well, honestly, I ain't thinking hard enough because we need to fucking figure this shit out. And she is still just aggressively trying to read over these pages, scrambling as to if any memory is coming up of why she wrote this down.
Oh!
down.
You hear it echo as trotting around the corner is a very familiar sheep to you, Evan.
Anyone else see that? Please tell me I'm not fucking crazy.
You're not crazy,
Oh, thank
I
God.
think.
And that's where we're going to take a break.
What? Ah!
We'll see you in a few minutes, everyone. In this very strange and bizarre episode where Michael fulfills a promise to Ren he has been holding on to for quite some time. And welcome back. No one can help you now but yourself, Matthew. Speaking of which, Matthew, tell us what is coming up for the next round of episodes on the To Be Diced Adventure
Boy.
channel.
Boy, howdy, I'd love to. Tuesday, we are going to be delving once again into a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away with our wonderful GM for that session, Sir Daddy Tarzan. And we will be doing Edge of the Empire, the Jewel of Yavin, where we are fast approaching the Cloud City Grand Prix, and soon after, the heist for the Karuska gem itself. After
You got
that,
a lot of nerve showing up here after what you pulled.
after that, we will be doing Wednesday evening the Dimensional Dial of Dr. Diago, which is we're in the end game now, folks. For this arc. I should specify. Don't want people thinking that we're done with the campaign. But yes, we have just gotten into the council chambers of the Majocracy of Ebenfell, and we are now confronting the people in charge and all of the suspects of the tomfoolery that is happening all at the same time.
It'll buff out.
You think so? And then Thursday we shall be doing Tales of Varden. We are getting into some really interesting things. We just figured out a legendary homebrew monster that has graced the internet's presence for a few years is actually what we're currently dealing with, and we are not prepared. If we think things are bad tonight in Frontiers of Eberron, you should tune in Thursday. Oh, it's going to be a time. But yes, after that, we will be circling back around until we eventually come back to Frontiers of Eberron 2 weeks from now, which will
Yes.
be March the 3rd.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
and
I
who
think
knows
yeah.
what time you'll be in by then.
Wow.
So,
Dun, dun.
when last we left, a familiar hewing sound coming around the corner as a small, familiar animal runs right up to you, Evan.
Evan, who had been hell-bent on preventing Silas from moving any further, all that attention is now immediately directed towards the sheep. Tessa May? What? And she immediately kneels down and is hugging the sheep to her, just burying her face in this fuzz. It's like, what are you doing here? Where did you come from? How did you, why are you here?
Do you have speak with animals?
I always have speak with animals. It is just on.
Yes. So you ritually casting it?
No, it's one of my druid
Oh, it
things.
just has your ability.
Yeah.
Your sheep just knows that somehow you know how to talk to it, and is just right back. It's just like, I thought you were gone. And oh no, what happened to your arm?
It's fine. I'm just really
You were hugging me
happy.
with both of them before. That was nice. And then
Wait,
you kind of left, I think, and then I followed. Now I'm here with you.
you
You always tell me to stay
followed?
close. Yeah, you tell me to stay close, so I stayed close.
You followed me from then?
I mean, a few seconds ago? Yeah, sure.
Just one second, sweet baby.
Okay.
Evan's gonna look up. My sheep has followed me through time. She has come.
There is no
From the
amount of
before.
words or expressions that any person in any situation would know what to use or say, including someone who proclaims to be the smartest person in the room at all times, and also Silas. A mystical witch that has powers that can warp the very whims of reality. A sister of a church who has more than likely been able to speak to gods. A creature that comes from another realm where you would think strange shit like this he'd be used to. But hearing the sentence, "My sheep followed me through time," seems to have given everyone pause.
Ivara even has a look of shock on her face, which is extremely rare.
Silas has
No
never
one-
been
no
more
one knows how to
intrigued by
prepare
a
this.
sheep.
That's certainly impressive. Evan, just quick clarification for myself. Ivar, you said you don't remember the spell that you're looking at in your book right now, right?
Well, I remember it. I could never really figure it out, but this is my handwriting, and it looks like somehow, I don't know when, but somehow I've maybe figured something out with this spell, but I don't remember writing any of this. I don't know when I wrote it. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
All right, settle down, Ivar. I got this. Holiday walks up to Ivara and places a finger on the temple of on her temple and begins to pull a little thin string of energy from her temple. He's using the cantrip known as Encode Thoughts.
Ivara resists the urge to smack his hand away, but allows him to do so.
This
Attempt to pull this thought describe what your version of an encode thought spell would look like.
So it's a similar type of energy that he that you would see when he did the deal with the little girl in the Fey realm, when where normally it would bind on the shake of a hand, and the energy would leave her temple and slither up his arm and travel into his ear. Instead, he is now physically manipulating it and pulling it out, and it's a thin, wispy line of energy, vibrant
In a
gold
strange
light.
moment for you, this wispy energy grows taut, and you feel resistance. Like you're pulling on a string that is snagged on something, and then you can't continue to pull. There's no like movement from. It's not like it's pulling Avara's head or anything. You just can feel that the energy cannot be. Yeah, it's not like you're just tugging her head. You just feel that there's no way to do this because maybe she's right. Maybe he hasn't thought of it yet. This is a new, strange feeling for you to encounter this.
Yeah.
Ivara's gonna just stand there. She goes, "Are you done trying to get in my head now?"
No, there was one approach. Yeah, he'll release the strand and it'll just almost snap right back into her head.
No, it's no rubber band or anything.
Well, any other ideas, people?
As someone, this is Mira thinking now, DM, as someone who exists more in the mental plane than material and relives memories instead of dreaming, if Mira sort of puts herself in a contemplative, meditative state and thinks back on the events that happened, does it seem like there has been a memory so almost like inserted into her mind, or almost like mentally bookmarked for whatever reason, whether it's done by her own purpose or someone else?
You are, by nature, a creature of the dream realm. There is, like you say, you are not a heritage or a lineage that dreams, or even in a, almost, and not quite in a sad or depressing way, but it's not a lack of imagination. You just have the ability to purely identify and create what you want to happen in your mind like a picture, because that's what dreams are to mortals on a material plane. But that's just the way of thinking for your kind. So this feeling of, did that happen, is novel for you right now, because you are experiencing what anyone else would just understand as trying to remember the thing they dreamed about. In the Sylvan language, it's called déjà vu.
Oh my God,
I always
Sylvan
make
is
my
French.
elves French. I don't know why, it just works.
It do be working.
So this concept to you is new territory.
All right. So, what? Anybody else have any new gimmicks about themselves now? Any new personal belongings besides a sheep, a dog-eared page in a spell book, and a personal note written to themselves?
Is there
Yeah.
anything?
You check your pockets or your belongings, and for the most part, Evan, you have realized that nothing else matters right now.
No,
Evan, except
it
for
really
your
doesn't.
sheep, who is just kindly chewing on some of the vegetation that has grown in the small garden. Just taking it to it like a buffet.
The epitome of loyalty. Truly.
Perfect.
And did Sister Mira have a prayer book during her
She
time?
would. She did. It had the Testaments of the Sacred Flame in it, with little like annotated notes in the margins and like almost incomprehensible small writing.
And you checked your own as if maybe, oh, was I thinking to do the same thing? And you kind of look through, and oddly enough, it's just the same book. And then there's like this moment of like, how come everybody else got something? And you're like, there's just this weird, odd feeling of being left out. You are experiencing the mortal condition for the first time in your life.
Does Ivara notice anything different about Mira as an individual? Like, has anything about her appearance changed, or anything about her presence?
I mean, I think I will. I would say that, like, in these moments, Mira, you probably are like adjusting to everything that has just happened and the feelings that. So you're more than welcome to hide it if you want to deceive or self-persuade to make you really believe that what's going on. So whatever you'd like to do in that case, or you can just live in it and let her actively notice if anything is going on. I'll leave that up to you.
So Mira is interesting in that by her nature, she tends to feel emotions 10 times as strongly, but by training tends to conceal that, which is where you see that sort of undisturbed, calm surface of the water, except for the times where it slips and cracks. In this moment, there has been too much going on that she is not actively hiding anything or attempting to control any outward bursts of emotion that would otherwise seem unseemly.
Yeah, Ivar, I
She's
wouldn't
just
even
as
have to
lost as
that.
she's just as lost as any of you.
You see the mask slip off Mirashana for the first time at Vara. And what was a poised, individual always seeming to have control over an understanding of the moment, you witnessed something familiar to you from any time someone who ended up becoming like one of your girls. It's the feeling and a look of lost.
Ivara is going to take a moment. She's going to kind of walk over to Mirashana, and she's just going to kind of gently hang her thumbs off of her belt. She goes, "So, seems the gods don't have an answer this time for you, huh?"
I'm not quite sure I have much of an answer for myself.
It's how we always feel, darling. You'll get used to it. There's one thing that you need to know, is that we all got no fucking clue what we're doing here. We're all flying by the seam of our pants.
I'd rather not feel like this every day.
Ivara just kind of laughs.
This is unpleasant.
Darling, living's always unpleasant, but the things that make it worth it are the people we decide to spend our time with. Try to focus maybe things on that when it comes to living, not just living for the gods, but living for yourself and others around you.
She just sort of nods cautiously, and as she ponders over your words, she seems to nod more in understanding. The only thing...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
The only thing really we can do now seems to be to act rather than think.
Sometimes that's all we can do, darling. Sometimes there ain't even a time to think, only to act.
A nice understanding shared between two members of an ongoing, confusing life. And speaking of confusion, Silas.
You say that like Silas is confused. Silas knows exactly what's going on.
Does he?
He thinks so.
How much are you trying to convince yourself that you have a handle on this?
There is a reasoning to how Silas would put the pieces together based off of the logic that would be in those moments, and has come to the conclusion, I am telling myself we need to try again, and this is what I need to do differently.
Which would be an awesome start if you had any idea how it started to begin with.
But that's the beauty of it. Silas believes, because he's done it already, that he knows how.
I would love to just reward just psychic damage for that loophole of endless defeat you're going to give yourself trying to run in circles, but it's not worth it. You're going to just exhaust yourself regardless. You see that Clinton is kind of scribbling on a notepad that he seems to be carrying over into this factory room on the map here. And you watch as he goes towards the right, towards that crystalled machine console that you could see through that glass window down there.
We're following right after him.
And he's just kind of like, you can see, like, this is him in work mode. It's obviously familiar to yourself. You're very, to your kindred spirits. I have a solution, or at least I think I do. I'm going to just keep doing it until I convince myself this is the thing. And he starts, like, fiddling around with what is... You see that in this machine, this crystal is a very large-scaled piece of kyber, dragon shard, that is powering this console, of which facing forward in center of it is the dial that is essentially the schematic that is the real device of what you had been handed to look over way back. And this entire factory, it seems, is powering this small console to do something, and he is going over the notes of what happened the last time he turned it on to try and save the town. And he tears a piece of paper and throws it on the ground and starts all over again. And this is a process you now see as you look as a giant pile of crumpled pieces of what could be, or what didn't work, is in a corner.
Mr. Hildwick, do you remember what you actually did the last time?
And he's just kind of like barely listening. I'm trying to figure something out. I'm sorry. And he like slams the pen, the ink that he has into the paper, and just throws it, and then exhausts himself, and hands slam into the console, and he just kind of like takes a huge sigh. You and Silas, you saw too, and I know you said you saw me do what I did to save the town. Or at least attempt to save it. When I activated this bulwark to freeze the town in a moment in time and keep it there safe. You would think that I would know how to do it again, to unfreeze it. Or at least pull from the moment. Right? I figured it out. And yet, somehow we did do it, because we went through all of that insanity, and now we're back with nothing to go off of, because I can't figure out how to turn it back on. Or make it work a different way that won't kill us. I don't know what's going to happen if I try to turn it on again now.
If I may, you're going to hold up the note. I might say that I'm the smartest man in the room, but even I don't think that I would go this far for a contingency plan on something that is going wrong the first time. So how many times have we tried before I put this in my pocket?
Ivara's going to look at her book to see if she takes notice of if there is a cycle or if there is different times, like if the ink has dried differently on her notes, if it is added on to something.
Give
how many
yourself a point of
times?
inspiration, my friend. And then roll intelligence. Actually, no, roll Arcana. Roll Arcana. Specifically.
Can I assist?
Roll Arcana. And yes, you may.
All right.
Yay.
I have a
As
plus.
this is happening, Evan, your sheep is just enjoying life and being around you again. How do you feel?
Joyous, elated. My soul is complete.
Hmm.
So that's a 22 for Arcana.
Fuck yes.
We'll get to that in a moment. Yes, Tia, you were gonna-
Evan,
Yeah, Evan. Evan, you said your sheep followed you through time.
yeah.
Can you
Yes.
ask them how they navigated with enough control to actually follow you and not just be tossed around in the waves of chronomancy? A sheep did that. Your sheep did that.
That's some
Yes,
sheep.
I think so. I mean, I'll ask. I don't know how much I'll get out of her, but I'll ask. Tessa May, sweetie.
Yeah.
So I know you said you followed me.
Yep, that's what I did.
Right.
You were petting me, and then you were gonna
Mhm.
say something,
Mhm.
and then kind of like got a little bright, and I just, I know your smell, and we got like that weird thing. You call it magic or whatever. I
Uh-huh.
just like it's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how to describe it, but yeah, like I just followed the thing that you always say is between us. Bond. That's what you called it. Bond.
Yes.
Yeah, I just like kind of like sniffed it out and just kept following you, and then here I am.
So it didn't feel weird or anything? When you had
no.
to.
No, just,
just-
like when you corral me to the different pens or whatever, or when you kind of reach out and you kind of like look for me and I'm maybe a little bit further away than you wanted me to be, and I just kind of follow that feeling, and I just followed you. That's what I did.
All right. She says she followed our bond. The magic of our bond. I don't know if that helps you.
Mira's
4
brain
years
at the
old.
moment. She is delightful, as are you, truly, truly. Such a talented sheep. Mira, as her mind is going a mile an hour. If she followed your bonds, all of you can correct me if I say so, but were we all seemingly dispatched to different times? Was there ever a time we were together? And she's asking the party, like, was it just yourself that you recall? Because it was just myself. I returned to Shan for a time.
No. I was with Hiltlick. You remember that, right?
Right. That was. It takes up what timepiece? It was about a month ago.
Ivara, were you with anyone?
No, I wasn't. It was almost feels like a lifetime ago, long before I even went to Eberron. Wormwatch, sorry. It was just me. I was much younger. Back when I was long time ago. Early 20s, maybe?
I'm just thinking, in the event that something happens again and we are all stretched and warped to all 7 corners of water's time and space, I do have the ability to forge a similar bond, albeit to one person. I just wonder if that could possibly be stretched actively to more than one.
Sister, sorry, Mira, where did you go? Other than in Sharn, who are you with? Who did you see?
I saw a sky skiff. I didn't notice any others. Were there any others at the back of my mind, Michael?
This was basically a moment of you in what was the equivalent of the convent of the time, when in your younger days. And if folks would like to watch our Past as Prologue episode, you can go back and see what that episode actually
Hell yeah. No, it was just me. I woke up alone.
And what were you going to do? What was the events of that day?
I believe it was a Sunday. We would have prepared for Mass.
Just any other Sunday? Nothing particular happened on the Sunday?
I don't believe so.
So what, and Hildwood kind of chimes in, so what you're suggesting is that we all were in moments of our pasts.
Yes, but I'm trying to figure out which ones, because
there seems to be some sort of connection of pivotal moments.
Correct. Well, not necessarily pivotal moments is what I'm coming on with. Connection. Because
anchored
just listening to, yes, it's exactly what I'm getting at. Evan would be Tessa May's anchor, so Tessa May just followed that here to get in here. So if we can find an anchor out there, we could get out.
My book. Ivar kind of takes a moment. She goes, back when I was, wherever time took me, it was the first night I found my mother's book. My book. Everything kind of started changing that day. And she just kind of takes a hold of her grimoire and is trying to think through the day of like what happened and how it could connect to this day that Sister Mira is talking about. What is this pivotal moment?
Sister Mira, give me a history check.
It was the day I met Brother Mason.
Ah, never mind. You figured it out.
I knew. Yeah, it was the day we met. It was the day I met what he was before.
And that
Silas.
would be a strong connection for you now, knowing what he became. Evan, where did you go?
I was corralling some sheep, but it was before I still had my it was before I lost my arm.
You all kind of realize in this moment that since meeting Evan, you've all been very polite about this certain feature of hers. Never questioned and never let it be brought up. Figure it was something of their own time. So, Evan, you have that lump in your throat feeling of now or never.
I so I was it was before I came to Wormwatch. You know, shepherding as you do, farming as you would, and how should I describe the size of the wolf? Beyond dire, beyond anything I'd ever seen. Yeah, a lot changed for me in that time. I managed to save a lot of sheep, but I lost my arm, and then I ended up in some place it almost feels like a dream by now. I've had to tell this story before, and I got called a liar. So I sort of fell into a different plane for a little bit, just a short bit.
Which plan
Anyway,
was it?
it's not yours, Mr. Holiday. I learned well. But yeah, no, I spent some of that time in delusion, mostly because I was bleeding because I was missing my arm. But no, I found some help there. It was a plane of very large animals of highly unusual sizes. But there were people there, and they helped me. And by the time I was able to come back, because apparently those openings don't stay open all the time, which was very upsetting. I came back and I didn't have my arm, and I was able to use my connection with animals was a lot stronger, and I was able to use more magic than I had before.
Evan,
Yeah.
first off, darling, I'm believing every word you're saying, so don't think
Okay.
don't think I'm gonna be calling you a liar here. We've all, as you can see, we've all experienced some very interesting events, so your story honestly ain't as far off as most of our lives here.
Evan is like actively sweating having to tell this story. It did not go well the first time.
And Ivara is then going to just turn to him. She goes, after these events, is this how you found yourself in Wormwatch?
Well, I had to leave. I mean, Tessa May was. I left. I was over in Valinor, and so I came here to kind of start over because it was just easier to start over.
Ivara kind of like she sits for a moment as she like hearing the term "start over" as she kind of blinks for a few seconds and she nods. She goes, "I see. Am I the only one sitting here thinking that these particular events are what led us here to Wormwatch?"
The nation of elves also kind of rings up in your when she name drops Valinor, Ivara, as that's the nation of a lot of elves' homeland. Elves that you've more than likely interacted with in your lifetime. Silas, you are hearing this and you're calculating as analytically as possible about this. The thing that's not adding up to you is the creatures of indiscriminately large size and feeling this like it felt like a nightmare. In Holiday, you were immediately to think like, oh, was this a Thelanis trip? Did she get caught in a convergence of this? But Mira, you hear these words. And you understand that there are creatures that are manifestations of the collective unconsciousness of the inhabitants of Eberron. These are drifters that are usually known as spell shadows, and spell shadows tend to take on the appearance of large animals. Dalquar is the region of dreams, a plane that mortals visit in the unconscious state. Home of the quarry, the psychic symbiotes you're very familiar with.
By any chance, Evan, those creatures you saw, did they happen to look anything remotely like this? She casts minor illusion and projects a sort of scene that seems to have just been ripped out of the dreamscape of the similar creatures you described. Taller than trees, some greater than mountains.
Evan, it's like someone has pulled the dream and into a memory and has 3D projected it in front of you now.
I honestly think Evan looks a little terrified. Why do you have that?
Because she's from there. Or at least, and as Clinton chimes in, that's the key. These are it's coming together. It's coming together, and he runs into the factory again and like pushes papers and stuff off of a hanging chalkboard and just starts drawing circles in different layers in rings, essentially, with a center point and then one around it and then another one around it and a bigger one surrounding it again.
Super Venn.
And he starts marking off different points with X's and then kind of making like these elliptical half circles in different directions where the X's are crossing over with the center's ring and the two rings that are surrounding it. Silas, you've never seen someone go so manic before on a chalkboard.
Well, actually,
The rest
Silas
of you are
is looking
thinking
around.
like he's just going crazy.
Silas is actually looking around, wondering why, when he decides it's time to go to work, and he's going to try to figure things out, that nobody steps in front of him going through the door. But then Silas is going to try to figure shit out. But it's whatever.
Oh, he's pouting now.
Silas doesn't pout.
Silas, why is your face like that?
Nothing. Let's figure out what's going
Mr.
on.
Mira, that looks so big I could stand on it.
And he points to what he pulls as this map, and he hands a rolled up piece of paper, the equivalent of which is much more detailed, and hands it to you, Silas. That looks like this. I'm going to actually copy the full link in for you all to check out.
Yes, please. Smash.
Play Discord.
Smash!
Oh, that
No,
works.
It's
in our
all
regular
coming
chat here.
together.
It's all coming together.
It's
Uh-huh.
the time and memory are connected in a way that I only thought was theoretical, but now we have lived through the proof of it all. We okay. So you know how when we dream, it is usually our mind kind of trying to sort and arrange and like organize our thoughts and our events that we went through the day, but it just goes so quickly that it makes these pictures in our mind that don't quite make sense. That's what we have always thought it was, and then we understand that what it really is it's our minds and our unconsciousness connecting into that plane that you went to, Evan. The plane of dreams. You were there. You were somehow conscious through it and went to Dalquor.
Right?
And it feels, like you said, it feels like a memory. It feels like a nightmare, though.
Uh-huh.
But somehow you strongly remember it.
Yeah.
That same energy is what connects us whenever those planes cross over every now and then. And I bet you if I were to figure out the date of when you had your arm unfortunately sacrificed, it would line up with a date when a convergence happened. And I bet you that any other very important moment that each of us visited, there was a coterminous event where planes crossed over each other, and we were able to access them or be a part of them in one single but an infinite moment. And that same energy is what is in our town now, which is why it is existing on top of itself at the same time. It's both unconsciously there and in that moment. It's tethered, is what I'm getting at. Your bond with your sheep is the same magical energy. It's a tether. It's a full connection. Holiday, when you try to extract memories, you are pulling at literal tethered strings of magical energy to make those connections. Ivara, when you cast your spells, you are binding these tethered energies together to create an effect. Silas, your calculations, albeit mathematical in your mind, are actual arcane energies tethering together to power the devices that you have made. Miro, your connection to the divine, strong connections, all tethered. We are connected somehow through that energy, and it's through the time magic. We can manipulate the tether. But for some reason, we have only figured out how to go back. And I think, Silas, you gave us a warning. That's not the direction we're supposed to go. So if we can't turn back, we have to go forward.
Ivar immediately
have
opens
to.
the book to the time page spell.
We already can go forward because we know where time has stopped in town. It's now. We have to be going to now. And my brain has broken. Oh,
Yours?
and he just suffers a gigantic headache and just sits down. And he takes a glass of water that's nearby, just on his face. I'm going insane. Silas, why did I... none of that made sense. I'm so sorry.
How do we travel to the now?
Because it doesn't make sense. If I'm right, we've tried everything before. We've done everything that we would think made sense. So, Mr. Hiltwick, let's go to now.
And as you say that, he kind of shakes his head and just thinks for a moment. All right. Well, we seem to have figured it out once. I'm sure we can figure it out again. And that's where we're going to end tonight's episode.
Or are we going to end it an hour ago? And next week.
The gimmick is over.
That is a weird scoop.
Or is it?
Time
No,
warp.
I'm not going to play that sound on you. Thank you all for watching. For real this time. True conclusion. Thank you all for watching our wonderfully weird episode of Frontiers of Eberron, Chapter 5, Knights of Past Present. If you're an X-Men fan, you get that little reference that I was trying to have a little homage to. If you didn't watch the first 15 minutes of this episode, don't worry, it will be available on demand as soon as we're done streaming, and in some time when our wonderful player performer and YouTube channel controller at KJ will upload it for you to see, and you can watch as my players' faces melt before my very eyes as they try to figure out what the hell is going on. Because for me, it was actually fun seeing the little bar I have on StreamYard, watching everybody's faces go like, ah!
The whiplash that you give
The
us.
whole whiplash.
Stress eating.
I don't have
Like-
snacks and I need them.
Oh, yeah, no, I had my chocolate bun and I'm like, damn.
Thank
Of
you,
all times to
everyone,
be
for
eating
watching.
a pastry.
We will see you in 2 weeks. Be sure to tune in Tuesday for Star Wars Edge of Empire, DM'd by our one and only Daddy Tarzan. Until next time,
No.
we have been
No.
TBD, which means you took the time, I got it full circle, to be diced. Yay! We'll see you again
Yay.
next time. Bye-bye.